So, let's go through it again one more time. This time, no skepticism exercises, no mashing projects, no funny voices, no confusing, off-kilter stuff at all. Let's talk about it again in a brief context. I have more, lengthy stuff to write on the topic of hashtag Gamergate. But let's just go over it again, calm and succinct fashion. I'm here on LtSarge, LtSarge, no spaces, uppercase S, uppercase L. Found in my comments section, offering some constructive criticisms, which I appreciate. So, Gamergate. What is it? Web movement, where the Gamergate hashtag elements come out of a combination of, hey, ethics matter in gaming media, hey, we're unhappy, consumer advocacy kind of thing. I've quote-unquote declared it over in terms of just my personal level of identification with what they're talking about, just specific to that. And the overall issue of ethics in the media is much broader than just gaming media to me, but it's definitely that applies to it as well. So I don't really identify with it anymore now that they're not really doing charities and they're not really doing what I call consumer advocacy. Now that it's kind of not about that as much, I am less a Gamergate identifier. However, I am here to say yeah, it's a lot like a lot of things that happen online where their critics, moving forward, everyone identifying Gamergate, the critics that they have, the anti-GGers, the anti-Gamergaters, are just ridiculous. They don't have a good point. And in essence, what they're doing, the anti-GG, in essence, what they're doing is the exact same thing that Bill O'Reilly does over there on Fox News to the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement. They're just they're all a hate group. They stand for nothing but violence and hatred. They hate us. Hate group. That's it. That's their approach. And then when you sit them down and get their case worked out, it's it ain't much of a case. If anyone's break it down about that, I have the stuff here in regards to Chris Clue and David Pacman still, but it has very much moved on, in my opinion, in terms of what all this is. And it just boils down to this in terms of yeah, anti-GG, in my opinion, has very bad, overall statements. Their point is stupid. It's just they're a hate group, they hate, they're trying to fuck people up, they're trying to encourage all these fucking horrible things, and they got nothing. There's nothing there. Everyone who's sitting there I am Gamergate, on YouTube or wherever, is not talking about that. That's not what they're saying. There's a disagreement, and then some of these over here are whoa, we're not saying what they're saying. There's always that with the internet. But in terms of what it is, listen to people LtSarge and the people on his stream there, and that's generally what Gamergate is talking about these days. And that's not totally my thing. I'm always very much wait a minute. My thing is more I'm fucking swearing up and down, and it is true. I can go make most of these cases, if not all of them, before the UN, just Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn just did. And it's the sort of thing where some of what they're saying is yeah, that's the stuff I've talked about for years, but then they go into the further but wait a minute. Somebody said horrible language on this stream that I'm talking about, or this video. 3-hour video called hashtag Gamergate, the best moderator on the internet, is the video I've got up right now. Yeah, what they're talking about at certain parts of these whole, let's regulate the internet kind of things that are coming up. A certain element of what they're talking about is just you can't say that kind of shit. And yes, you can say that, generally speaking. If you think you can just say that when it comes to making criminal allegations, Various other things are like very clear on the terms of service stuff if you ever bother to read it. And then beyond that, it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. People can be boorish and insulting and sarcastical and all these things. And a lot of it just circles around to like, what are you doing? If you're running this online harassment campaign against a specific person and you have nothing to say, like it's just fuck them, they're a hate group, fuck them, this person over here, fuck them, and you don't have a point. You know, like you're not disagreeing on the point. You're just constantly raising them to say fuck them. Then that can be bad. It's not like I didn't do shit like that. It's just look at who I'm doing it to. It's like Alex Jones and Steven Crowder and Bill O'Reilly and other people. So that's the point, is it's all like who you're like criticizing and going after, and then what you're saying when someone's coming around like, hey, like what's your deal with that? So that's the point, is yes, you all can drop F-bombs and do whatever the fuck you want on your thing, and I don't support like every last single fucking bit of language and all the rest of it. It's not my job to police your tongue, but I get to have an opinion on what the fuck you're saying and how you're saying it and all the rest of it, and I don't give a shit if you don't like it, is the other thing to understand. Yeah, it's just like that. It's basically like in the process of like trying to destroy internet anonymity completely and making it so nothing but polite, rosy-cheeked conversations can like ever be had on the internet. It's also in the same, note, in the same moment, destroying people's ability to have their voices heard when they don't want their employers and everyone around them to like know whatever the hell it is. Maybe they're gay, maybe they're transsexual, maybe they're an atheist. For whatever reason, their own reasons, they don't want everyone to know who they are, and they still want to share their voice. So yeah, this thing comes up all the damn time in like smaller context. It's coming up in the larger context of the internet. Where yeah, if you get people off of anonymity, like completely, they tend to be more rational and like willing to like talk it out rather than just kind of shoot it out. Like that's true, but it's also the moment you remove internet anonymity, a whole bunch of users that were going to give their honest opinion, positive or negative, they were going to do that. They were going to come in and comment or say their piece or whatever. They can't be anonymous anymore. They're not showing up, and their voices don't get heard, and whatever they had to say doesn't happen. So it's a, kind of a balancing act kind of thing in terms of what to do with internet anonymity, in my opinion. And a lot of the, like we've got the big solution here kind of stuff is the like feminist frequency, Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn kind of stuff, exactly what was said at the UN, like verbatim. And that stuff isn't good. It's not the right way forward. It's basically just no more free speech.